This is the story of a young teenage boy named Jason who used to love watching football games. He was very passionate about it. He used to live in Europe. One of his favorite tasks was to keep track of all football games held in his town or towns nearby. He also had some friends who used to come with him go to the stadium for watching games. He was so passionate about his team, that he even could not sleep the night before game. He used to very anxious about what would happen tomorrow in the game. Would his team win? Days were passing by in this way for some time. He used to go to school, did homework afterwards, and kept an eye on the football games. He needed to do a lot of effort to arrange tickets regularly, and also needed huge amount of money which he did not have, and he was also very shy to ask his father for money over and over. But his mom used to support him and arrange money for him some way. He used to do some computer work for from home for neighbor's business, and used to get little money for Jason. Jason used to be very happy when mom used to give him money to buy tickets and watch his favorite game in the stadium, along with thousands of people. He could also see the players from few meters away. It was totally different experience for him. Some of his friends prefer it preferred to watch the game from home, but that was not his type. He needed to feel the atmosphere of the stadium, the cheering, the noise, the ups and downs of the noise, the excitement, the silence, the fear of losing, the anxiety, the heartbeats. All these were like reading poems, so poetic, so marvelous, so charming, so full of life, so satisfying, hard to explain. Someone needs to feel it. His friend Jack used to go to the stadium with him most of the time, and Jack also had to manage the money for tickets. But somehow he used to do that. He was not as passionate about football as Jason, but he liked to be with Jason as he was his best friend. Jason met a guy who used to arrange tickets for the games. This guy was a very powerful person and had a huge network, so he used to give Jason tickets regularly, and Jason could also pick the position of the seats. After trying different positions to watch the game, Jason found the seats behind the goalpost behind the goalpost were more exciting. So he used to give the ticket seller some extra money to give him tickets for seat behind the goalpost. After that, they used to enjoy games more excitedly. Jason usually go to stadium for only his favorite teams games, and they used to travel if the game was in nearby location. Since he started to get seats behind the post, he noticed something. His team had stopped conceding goals, even though it sounds weird, but he noticed that, and also this was kept running in his brain as a thought. More days were passing. Finally, his team won the title for that year and did not concede goals in any of the games when he was in the stadium. He was growing more and more excited about his new findings and tried to share that with Jack, but he thought Jack would think that as weird event or just a mere coincidence. So he decided to delay on sharing this to Jack and keep So he decided to delay on sharing this to Jack and kept going to the stadiums regularly. Few months passed, but that anomaly was still there. His team was not conceding goals in front of him, as if the ball was asking his permission to enter inside the post. It sounds ridiculous and stupid, but it was bothering him so much that finally he shared this with Jack. Jack thought Jason might need some good sleep. He probably thinks too much about games lately. So he suggested Jason to go home and take rest. They would talk tomorrow. This time Jason suggested to have seat on middle portion of the stadium, and they got the tickets accordingly, and surprisingly his team conceded goals after some times. His team used to concede goal when Jason was not there. But that did not happen this time as they changed the seat. Now Jack was also got surprised. Jack came to Jason's house and they went upstairs in his room. They sat in front of a computer and was trying to gather information about their team's goals for the matches. When they were present in the stadium, Jack found that Jason's suspicion was right. According to statistics of goal data, their team did not concede any goals when they were behind the goalpost. Jack made a plan to gather more information about this. They decided to go to the field on next Sunday, where many young children come to play football. They placed themselves behind the post and asked the boys to tried to score goal. Jack told Jason to stop the ball to get stored using his mind. Jason was trying hard and not a single shot went through the post. All of those went by outside of the post. This time both Jack and Jason were more surprised, but they were also happy as well to get the confirmation about Jack's ability to stop the ball to get scored. Jack was a very smart boy. He was thinking how they could use that to get money. At first, they thought about to go to their team's manager and tell everything right away. But Jack was a very careful person. He knew if they go to the manager and tell everything, they would know about it and would get suspicious and also might try to harm them. So they decided to keep it as a secret and earn money slowly as that nobody could catch them. They used to place a bet for weaker team and help the team to win by using Jason's power to stop goals, and they started to get huge amount of money from betting. They told their parents about working with some friends in an IT firm and got lucky to some money from it. Soon they had enough money to buy a house and a car for both, and their parents were so happy to see that. Jason bought a house by the mountainside. He liked mountains since his childhood. Jack also bought a nice house by the river. It took around 30 minutes to reach to Jason's house from Jack's place. Both of them bought a nice sports car. Jason also opened a restaurant nearby from his house. Jack invested the money in capital market. They usually set up a dummy company to show the source of their money. They took help of experts about this. Everything was nice and smooth, but the Federation was little worried as games were producing much more different results than previous years. Federation had many people who were working as analysts for more than 40 years and they were worried too, and this was a huge reflection of results which could not understand, let alone explaining it to committee. According to statistics, teams should not produce unexpected results regularly. If it would happen fewer times, that could be a reasonable fact to explain. But Jason and Jack was young person. They did not think hard about this. They thought nobody would understand about their power, but they were wrong. The Federation called a meeting and invited all experts. The mysterious facts were presented to team and all of them denied to accept it as normal and authentic. Everybody suspected about match fixing or any other issue. All the experts agreed on to find out what was wrong. So Federation decided to hire an investigate firm to resolve the mystery. The firm started to find out the root cause of this. It was relatively small firm with only 100 people in it, but they had a good reputation and that's why got hired by Federation. They started their work. First of all, they started to analyze the results and statistics of previous years' data and tried to communicate fan club to get explanation of weird results of the game. Fans also could not understand how that happened. In a whole season, only few times they used to see some upsets, but for last few years results became totally abnormal, very hard to predict. It was not like that players were playing well. They just got lucky sometimes to score goals. Anyways, that branch of investigation did not produce any desirable result. They tried to find out about any news on match fixing. They searched betting information and many other criteria, but could not find anything unusual. But as they were asking many people, Jack and Jason also got worried and tried to find out what was going on. After digging a little, they gathered the news of firm assignment by the Football Federation. They discussed about this and decided to stop going to stadium for a few months. They were upset. They kept thinking about how to start their business again. They also had fear to get caught. Finally, they decided to lay low for now and bet big on World Cup and earn a lot of money. It will be difficult for anybody to trace them on the World Cup games at 1000 times more people join in betting during World Cup. So they started to buy tickets of World Cup games. They already picked a team which they would support and help to win the World Cup. They knew during the World Cup many people from around the world would come and place bet, so it would be difficult for FIFA to find out about their activities in middle of millions betting professionals. They started to join all games and they needed to help their team to win, and they also placed huge amount of money in favor of their team. As usual, they were winning every game and also getting huge amount of money. After each game, finally, their team won the World Cup. This time, FIFA got suspected and arranged a meeting with many respected football analysts. They mentioned the anomaly in federation as well. So FIFA decided to hire a bigger and better frame this time to get reasonable result. They understood that someone was trying to destroy football's popularity. The new investigate firm had a lot of employees and analysts. They dug up all records of betting, checked phone calls to find out any information for match fixing. They tried to communicate with groups and people who had history of match fixing and troubled betting. But they all refused to admit any unusual activities done by them. But the firm did not believe them and started to engage a spy on them. Even after doing hard work, still they could not reach to Jackson and Jack. After dealing with all defaulters, they also suspected that this time might be new people were involved in it, so they decided to make another list. In this list, they would include all the people who placed bet regularly for past 10 years. Jason was enlisted this time. They cross-checked many people's record and they started to get suspected about Jason. They collected background information about him, history of his getting money, their IT firm, and many other related information, and something was not right, but they could not find out what was wrong. Jason did what other people also did. They could not find any reasonable way to make Jason a suspect and arrest him as nothing was wrong in the record. So they planned to find out that from him. It was a difficult job, so they assigned a beautiful girl named Kelly to go after him. Kelly was from Oregon, USA. She grew up in Oregon. She used to live close to Pacific Ocean. Her house was 7 minutes away from the beach in Oregon. There is a road named Route 101 which starts from Washington and goes all the way to California, and from starting to end. It was very close to the sea. Pacific Ocean was around 100 meters away from the road. In some places it was 50 meters. It was a very pleasant drive from Washington to California via Route 101, which Kelly took many times in her early days. She moved to England a few years back and started to work for this investigation firm. She solved some cases and played important part in some other cases. That's why the firm had a high confidence on her. Kelly did her homework, collected all necessary informations about Jason from online social media platform. She went to Jason's school, his dad's office, asked his neighbors, in short, tried all possible ways to collect as much information as possible. Kelly slowly started to appear places where Jason normally visits in the weekends, the restaurant, bar, club. She was following him everywhere. As she was very beautiful, Jason got attracted to her. She also tried to make friendship with her. Jason decided to take her to his house. Jack also met her. Both Jason and Jack found her very attractive and they were playing it no nicely that Jason could not even suspect her for a single moment. After dating Kelly for 6 months, Jason was very happy and positive about her. She thought she could be his soulmate. She found her company very enjoyable, comfortable, funny, and interesting. In short, she was the one for which Jason waited for a long time. Jason did not friends as most of his time was spent in watching and analyzing the games. But as he was growing old, he needed to have someone beside him to accompany him and all the time and make his time enjoyable and free from sorrow and grief. He could not think of anybody better than her. In fact, he believed it would be impossible for him to find another woman like her in his life. So Jason was planning to marry her, which sounds perfect to him. They arranged many trips, went to beautiful countries in Europe and also outside of Europe. Kelly had many countries in her wish list to visit since her childhood. His father used to talk about those countries and many interesting places of those countries. Kelly could not manage money to go to that many countries, even though she visited few of those. But at least she managed to finish all countries in her wish list because of Jason. Jason took her to all those countries and never complained or denied about any place from her list. They used to stay at least and at least a week in each country and enjoy all major tourist spots. Kelly liked to take pictures while traveling. Her laptop was full of those photos. Life was passing like a gentle wind in the evening and smiling at them and blessing them. Happiness was roaming all around like a beautiful fragrance. Sometimes Kelly thought about her current situation and wished Jason was real, but she knew there was something wrong about him and his money, and also police was already after him. She felt sorry for him. She pretended to be very happy with him and also showed her eagerness to marry him and stay with him for eternity. Jason's mom lived around 200 miles away from Jason's house. Jason told Kelly to visit his mom's place. Kelly agreed to that immediately. They drove 200 miles to reach there. Jack also came with them as also did not see her for some time. Jack always liked food. Jack also came with them as he also did not see her for some time. Jack always liked foods prepared by Jason's mom. Jason's mom decided to like her after talking to her for a few hours. Kelly had a very good communication skills since her school life. Jason's mom liked her communication skills, style, sense of humor. Mom understood she would be a perfect match for Jason. Jason needed a girl like her who could understand him and also share his business work and contribute by giving ideas. His mom also liked her personality and beautifulness. Everything was set for the marriage, but Kelly could not find anything against Jason yet which he could report. Her relationship with Jason was getting stronger and stronger day by day, and she felt about him deeply now, and she knew that it would be a difficult separation for her. But she could not do anything about it. Jason brought his misery to himself, and he had no else to blame. His behavior was very normal like many other guys. So she started to find something on his desk or on his diary or any other place in his house. But nothing was there. She used to report to the firm every week. People in the firm also got upset as they could not find anything against Jason, not even in his house and personal life. But they suggested Kelly to continue their relationship with Jason and try harder. They also suggested her to come up with some new and innovative ideas to make him spill out his secrets. Finally, she decided to marry him, and they did marry each other on a beautiful night. Many people came to the wedding party. Jason invited all his relatives, friends from high schools, college. Few people came as guests from Kelly's side, as most of her friends and relatives are back in USA. Jason spent huge amount of money for the wedding reception and party. Now she was staying with Jason in his house. After watching a nice relationship between Jason and Jack, she thought Jack might also know something about their winning of huge amount of money from betting. She tried she tried to get info from Jack, but she found Jack more careful and smarter than Jason. After failing on few other attempts, she planned to create distance between Jason and Jack. She read about these type of ideas in few novels. One of her few hobbies, actually reading novel, inspired her to be a detective. She used to read detective novels a lot in her high school. Ever since then, she was planning to be a detective few years back. She found a good offer to work as a trainee in an investigation firm in UK. That's why she moved to UK and became a really good detective. If you could be a passionate about your profession, then surely you could be good at that. She started to tell Jason about inappropriate behavior of Jack towards her, which was of course lie. At first, Jason would not mind it, but as she was kept complaining him about Jason over and over again, he started to get suspected about Jack's character and his attempts to get Kelly's attention. Jason and Jack started to have arguments about business for no reason. Jack got upset by seeing Jason's attitude. He suspected something was wrong. But he could not convince Jason to suspect Kelly. Rather, Jason started to believe that Kelly was saying about Jack for months. After a Saturday night party, they were sitting by the pool. They were drunk. Jack was upset about Jason for a while. Jack did not say anything to Jason, but he could sense that Jason started to dislike him and distance was building up between them. Jason also stopped to share information of his business with Jack. Jack understood that Kelly might be the reason which was causing trouble between him and Jason. He also understood that Jason was in deeply love with Kelly, but he met her only 6 months ago, and no matter how he explained him about Kelly, Jason would not listen to that, and on the contrary, he might also get suspicious about him with having or trying to have an affair with Kelly. Kelly asked Jason to go to the stadium with him and Jack to watch a game. Jason was happy to hear that. He used to talk about football games and his favorite teams and players all the time. At first, Jason was not that much interested to talk about it, but 6 months passed already and he developed a deep relationship with her. The relationship was so deep that Jason did not even bother to share any information of football with her. He did not think about her being a spy for a moment. She became best part of his life. So she went to stadium with him and enjoyed the game. But she did not notice any unusual thing about Jason or even Jack. They were also not involved with match fixing, as she almost knew everybody they talk. She was more worried now. She also started to think that they just got lucky to win money through betting. She went to her office and had a meeting with other officers. She informed them that she checked his diaries, room, locker to find any clue. She even went to stadium with him. She also confirmed that he was not related to match fixing anyway. Then she asked their opinion on how to proceed with the investigation. They suggested to create more distance between Jason and Jack. When Jack would realize that he might reveal some of his secrets, she went home and started to plan to bring Jack closer to her. She tried to call Jack for a few times a day and spent few hours talking to him. She asked him about his hobby, favorite movies, his childhood memories, interesting events in his school. Jack shared all the other information about Jason except the magical power of him. She already understood Jack was a cool customer. It would be difficult to get secrets from him. One day, when Jason came home from office, she told him that Jack called and told many stories of him in high school. She also showed him love letters to her from Jack's email ID. Her office had few hackers. They helped her about this. She also told him that Jack offered her to go to with movies with him. He even asked her to go to a road trip with him. He assured her that Jason would not know about that. Jason was getting more and more angry with Jack and decided to take his relationship with Jack to a new level. He stopped calling him and shared his own business information. He was denying calls from Jack for a while. Jack was surprised to see in his new developments. Jack understood that Jason was trying to avoid him for some reason, but he could not find any reason for that. Jason even stopped to go to the stadium with him and they did not place a bet for a long time. Jack was planning to come to Jason's house in the weekend, but Kelly informed him that Jason was busy and he did not want to meet anybody for now. Kelly did not inform this to Jason. Jack was growing more and more anxious. Jack went to Jason's restaurant. Jason tried to avoid him there too. Jack was eager to know what was wrong and why Jason was upset about him. Finally, Jason told him to stay away from him and Kelly. Then Jack understood why Jason was trying to avoid him for the last few weeks. Jack went home. He called Kelly and asked her what she told Jason about him. Kelly started to cry and hung up. When Jason came home, she made up stories about Jack's call. Jason immediately decided to break up all business ties with Jack, so he informed Jack about this. Jack told him to wait and give him a chance to prove that he did not do anything wrong, but Jason's decision was final. Both Jack and Jason came to office and both their lawyers. They finalized the spill peacefully. Jack knew that Jason would come back one day, but for now he did not say anything more. Jason started to take Kelly to the stadium. He started to go different stadiums and also changed team to place bet so that Jack could not find about his betting information. Jack did not expect this from Jason, but he did not blame Jason. He knew Kelly was behind all of these. Kelly liked to sit in the box to watch the game, but Jason always insisted to sit behind the post, at least when he plays his bet. This was very weird. She thought he did that just to enjoy the game, but she could not understand why he did not place any bet when they sit in the box. She started to figure out the secret. She also noticed Mike's team did not concede any goals when he placed bet and sat behind the post. She silently conveyed this message to the frame. The frame started to check statistics and they found she was right. Jason's team never conceded goal when he placed a bet. Now they understood that he might have special power to stop the ball to get scored. They immediately informed Federation about this and the Federation and FIFA both banned Jason to watch football game in the stadium for life. Jason could not guess any reason for this new development. He thought Jack might have informed the Federation about this. Jason hired a detective to find out who told Federation about him and after working for a few weeks, the detective discovered that Kelly was a spy. He immediately informed Jason about Kelly. This was a very shocking news for him. His whole world crushed and broke into pieces in front of him. He started to cry silently. He felt sorry about Jack and started to blame himself for not listening to Jack. Jason and Kelly were divorced. Jason fixed his friendship with Jack. He was thinking about any way he could go back to stadiums and enjoy games, but that might not happen for next many years.